had a list of questions to start with, so let me move this iPhone here. So just using my iPhone camera. Okay, so I found it. You can check it on my phone. All right. Hi everyone. Welcome to our chat. I'm not going to say webinar because it's going to be rather like a chat. So maybe we just start introducing ourselves, folks, if that's okay for everyone. Anyone wants to start?
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. So you can hear me clearly, right? I will just get started with introductions.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So my name is Serhat. I'm an AWS community hero. I am one of the co-founders of Resmo. So I have attended Reinvent for I think 4 times so far. So I don't particularly enjoy Vegas, but I enjoy Reinvent a lot. So here I am. So.
And I'm Emrah. I'm a service hero, and I'm also, we just announced a new company, and it's with Jeremy here, and I'm also co-founder of that. And this would be my 5th Reinvent, if you count the one in 2020, like a dark Reinvent. It was the online one. And yeah, I also don't like Sally's trying to be kind with Vegas, but I can say that I hate Vegas, but like Reinvent makes it much better. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and chat about like some things about Reinvent.
I guess I'll go. I'm Jeremy Daly. I am the CEO of a new company that Emma and I just started called Amped. Focuses, there it is. So go to getamped.com and check it out. So I'm an AWS Service Hero as well. This is technically my 5th Reinvent if we count the COVID virtual one. But yeah, I agree with the others. Vegas is a pit of human despair, and avoid as much of it as you possibly can. However long, this is my saying, however many days or however long you're in Vegas is 2 days too many. So even if you're only there for a day, you've still been there for too many days. But there's a lot of ways to get out of the sort of the normal Vegas stuff and stay connected and meet a bunch of people. So it's awesome to have everybody, all these amazing AWS folks and people who love AWS and are building all together in one place. So Reinvent definitely makes it worth it. But by the time you get to the end of the week, you'll be wanting to leave, not because of Reinvent, but because of just the Vegas vibe in general, I think. Maybe that's just me. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm Alex Debris. I guess I'm the only one here that's not a startup founder. I'm a grifter that sells books mostly. But I'm an AWS data hero, and this will be my 4th or 5th Reinvent. Yeah, I'm excited to be there. Vegas is what it is, but it really is a good place to gather because there's just so much space and everyone's there at this time, so it's a fun time. I'm super excited to be there.
I mean, so by the way, you got fans here, Alex. So
what's that?
You have fans in the so nice. This time I'm gonna be in Vegas for about 7 days. So I made that mistake. But I will go to Grand Canyon like for the first time. So
you will take
nice. Yeah, I'm nice coming.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll see how it goes. So folks, I mean, I think we can get started with like how do you get ready for Reinvent? How does it sound? Obviously some folks here, this Reinvent, they're going to be first one, so they have to bring some stuff. They have to get ready for the nights. They have to get ready for the Vegas streets. So what do you recommend? Like, that's the question. Who wants to go first?
Well, I think an important thing to know is like what the weather is in Vegas, because it's this weird thing where it's like the temperature is low enough where when you're out walking around casually, you probably want to have like a light jacket or like a sweatshirt or something like that, because it's usually about 60 degrees Fahrenheit. So what's like, what, 15 degrees Celsius or so, something like that. So you want to make sure that you have like a jacket or something like that, because it does get a little bit cooler at night. I haven't checked the weather for 2 weeks from now, but I'm assuming it's probably about that. But the crazy thing is especially if you're walking down the strip or you're trying to walk between venues, things like that, or even if you're, like just, I don't know, getting on and off the bus, whatever. But like when you do a lot of walking, like you do a lot of walking. Like, so even if you're staying in the Venetian and you're going to the keynote for Werner on Thursday, right? It's like from your hotel room to the keynote is probably a mile, like literally inside the hotel. It is a long, long way. And there are a lot of people and it can get really, really warm. So like if you have to go outside for something, but then you come back in, or maybe you're walking across the Caesar's Forum or something like that, you will get hot and then you'll probably get cold. So like wear layers, like a hoodie is always a good idea. Like this hoodie, like they gave out hoodies the last, I think 2-3 years, whatever it was, that they gave you, but bringing something where, again, you can unzip it so you can get like a little bit of air in there. And then maybe even having like a light jacket. I don't know if it's going to rain or anything like that, but if you are outside at all, having like a light rain jacket is probably good. And then the other thing, I know Emra talks about this all the time too, is just comfortable shoes. Like you just need to make sure, because you're going to put a lot of mileage on your feet. So just make sure that you've got, super, super comfortable shoes.
That's for sure. Especially if you are attending replay, like I can add that to that this time. Replay can get chilly, especially during the night. I mean, it's always chilly in Vegas. So you have to get a jacket or something.
I can
Let's
only
say, go ahead.
Okay, I can only say that like, if you're coming from this part of the world, like if you're going to travel more than a day door to door, like I think it's better to arrive a little bit earlier than like how Americans would arrive. So like if you have time, like arrive from the previous Friday, it's what we are going to do. And just try to get used to the the time zone, and like try to get over the jet lag, and and it will actually be nice preparation, because it starts on Monday, soft day, and Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is really intense, and you wouldn't want to be in the jet lag mode during those days. I can also say this, like maybe it's too late to say, like maybe everyone just like book their flights, but yeah.
But I made that mistake once. I mean, like I remember like sleeping at 8 p.m. Like during Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's not fun because all the parties like are happening at the same time. So I agree with him, Rahel. Yeah.
I would say, especially if this is your first time, take a little time to plan about like what you do want to get out of it, because there's just so much going on that if you get there and you're unfamiliar with how it's laid out, you're unfamiliar with like what you do want to hit, it can be hard, and you might want to do everything. So like think about whether you want to do replay or not, and schedule that. Think if you want to do night parties and stuff, or if you really want to do the sessions or what it is, but think a little bit about that and get a lay of the land, so you don't get there and you're sort of going all over the place and trying to do everything and burn yourself out by Tuesday.
Yep, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's a good point about in terms of like what you want to get out of it. So there's a lot going on. I think, Emma, you mentioned there's no Midnight Madness this year.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Oh, that's interesting. Don't they do like the largest chicken wing eating contest or something like that?
I think that's canceled.
That's Monday night, right?
No, it's no chicken wings this year.
Yeah.
But it is true. I mean, I'm in the Boston area, so it's a 3-hour time difference for me. So it's not too bad. I usually get there at midnight my time on Saturday night, and then it's actually like 9 p.m. Sunday. So I always end up waking up a little bit earlier. So it's not too bad for me, but I got to stay up a little bit later. So basically when I'm at a party or out and it's like 11 o'clock at night, for me, it's like 2 a.m. That's not too bad. But certainly if you're coming from like the EU or anywhere much further from the east, then it's obviously going to be a big difference. But that is something too, just to think about, like, especially just from a schedule standpoint, depending on which hotel you're staying in and, how much you've got going on. If you are planning on going out late one night or whatever, just plan around, like maybe go back to your hotel room, take a nap. And like, honestly, going back to your hotel room, you cannot get away from noise in Vegas. That's one of the things that just drives me nuts. Like it's just constant noise, whether it's slot machines, even if you're nowhere near the casino, or just people talking, or the buzz, or you're on the street. It's just so busy, so much just overload of noise and whatever coming at you, that if you really need to take a break, like there's not even like a place you can go. Like even if you go into a restaurant or try to go sit in the corner somewhere, there's people everywhere. There's people sitting on the floors in the hallway everywhere. Like it is insane. And so if you can get a chance and you need to take that mental break, go back to your hotel room, just, either just sit there in a chair and stare at the wall and enjoy a bit of the silence, or whatever. But yeah, it is definitely worth it to try to, get your brain to be cleared up a little bit, because it is just very, very noisy. So plan your days around that, the things you really want to see. And all the sessions are recorded. So like if you miss a session, like it's not the end of the world. You'll be able to watch it back. And honestly, like the first time I went to reInvent in 2018, I think, I went to a whole bunch of sessions, and a couple of times, like I went over to like the Aria at one point, or whatever so I was going around to different hotels. It's not a great idea to do that. Like if you're going to go to a different hotel, like try to plan all of your sessions that day at that hotel. It's really hard to do. I mean, I would suggest you go to the Mandalay Bay on Monday. That's the community track. So I'm doing a talk. There's an interesting talk about serverless versus containers, or serverless versus Kubernetes, which should be really interesting. But yeah, try to do that, because again, just traveling back and forth between venues is just a lot. And it can take like 45 minutes to an hour, even if you're taking the buses to go from one venue to another. And you have to go to where the buses are, which are usually nowhere near where the actual talks are within the actual hotel. So it is really a challenge to do that. But yeah, I mean, the thing is just, plan your days, pick the sessions that you really, really want to see, go to those. And if you happen to miss a session, it's not like if you've got a reservation that they're like, oh, we're going to charge you because you missed your reservation. There's plenty of people that wait outside of these things. The sessions will all be full. So don't feel bad if you have to skip a session, unless you're skipping mine or Alex's session. And then in that case, we will hunt you down.
Find you.
But we will find you. But other than that, every other session you can feel free to skip.
Oh, so what are your talks, guys? Like, can you talk about them a bit? Like, what are you going to talk about? Which hotel, etc.
Sure, Alex, why don't you go ahead first?
Yeah, sure. I got to look up the hotel because I can't even remember. But so I'll do a DynamoDB talk, and I'm kind of excited and interested in this one because I've been working with a senior principal engineer on the DynamoDB team to do this talk. So we're gonna be tag teaming it. He's a great guy, Amrith, just like knows a ton about Dynamo and distributed systems, obviously. So we'll have like some sort of under the hood. You get a sense of the complexity of Dynamo, what's happening there, but still how they expose it to you. And then I'll do some data modeling stuff, and hopefully that'll fit together in a way that makes Dynamo click for people. And also just like, if you want to hang around afterward, there's no better person to ask questions from than Amrith, who like works on the DynamoDB team around this stuff. Let me check where we're going to be for that one. It's Monday. It's at Caesars Forum. So it's Monday at 4 p.m. Caesars Forum. Come check it out. It'll be a lot of fun.
And don't get Caesars. Well, hold on. Don't get Caesars Forum confused with Caesars Palace. Those are two very different places. And Caesars Forum is actually part of the Venetian, I believe, and not part of Caesars Palace. So, just check your maps and find out where that is, because it is not potentially not where you think it is.
I was probably going to go Caesars Palace. So thanks for reminding me. I mean, it's a great point. Like, so one time I gave a talk at Atlassian Summit in Vegas. So when I was working at Atlassian, and I think I started prepping for about like 6 months before. So when did you guys start prepping for your talk? Like, how long does it take to prepare for reInvent?
Oh, I was going to start working on mine this afternoon. You guys you're already done yours? No, actually, so I will say this, AWS has a very good process for reInvent talks. I think we actually started, like we were given like a whole schedule and like a series of targets to hit and things like that. I think we started in August. It's been a while, and it was great. I mean, there's a lot of things. AWS has an awesome, sort of speakers like division. I'm not sure what they're called, but they do all the copy editing. They help with like your presentation. They help with, they do like they'll help with like, I don't know if they help with formatting, whatever, but they help like just the whole thing. Like it's sort of a really great process that you go through. So it is quite a lengthy process, and it's crazy too because like for me, I knew we were announcing Amped. But I'm like, all right, but you can't list me as, you have to change my title. Like the process was just so long. And so much of the things have actually changed a little bit and the presentation has grown. So, so I was able to make changes and things like that. But I mean, my talk now, and I'm sure Alex, same with you. I mean, the talks, we submitted them, a month ago, something like that. So yeah, they've been in the work, actually probably more than a month ago now. I can't even remember.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
We submitted ours a month ago, but we've made a few changes and revisions, and like ours hadn't even gotten processed yet. So we just submitted a whole new thing. But yeah, we started work on this over the summer, and it was, I'd say, even more prep than usual this time, since I was working with someone else and we had to like meld two brains together. And how do you tell this story in a particular way? So yeah, it took more prep than even past years.
Awesome. When is your talk, Jeremy?
So my talk, I'm putting it in the chat right now. So it is on Monday, the 22nd. And this is the talk 301, Comp 301, level 2, South Oceanside. And it is at, trying to get all this information and then copy and paste it over. November 22nd, 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. at the Mandalay Bay. So my talk is on infrastructure from code. The technical title is this. I'll pop this in the chat as well. Unleash developer productivity with infrastructure from code. So Emma and I have both been working on a product over at Serverless Inc. for the last, I've been there, I was there for almost 2 years. Emma was there for just over a year. But we were basically working on this product where we said, look, is it possible for you to not write infrastructure as code anymore? Is there a way that we can say, by you saying, okay, API.get in your application or events.publish in your application, or just using Express or Next.js or something like that, is there a way to just read that code and say, all right, it would make sense that I set up a cloud, CloudFront distribution, API gateway, maybe a Lambda function, maybe app runner, I need DynamoDB, I need these IAM permissions. Is it possible to do all that and infer that information without needing you to go and say API.get in your application code, and then in your SAM template or your CDK or whatever, say, I need an API that responds to an API GET request and runs this code. So you're basically duplicating work. There's a lot of this, sort of duplication and drag because you are constantly, you're basically duplicating a lot of information across both your IAC and your configuration and your actual application code. So that's what we set out on this path to do. We created this really great product called Serverless Cloud that kind of grew beyond our wildest expectations in terms of where this paradigm could go. So we worked with Serverless Inc. and Austin, the CEO, and the board at Serverless Inc. And we worked to split this off as a new company. That is the new company Amped. But the idea behind infrastructure from code is really, this is not a vendor talk. This is very much so about a number of people that are in this space that are starting to experiment with this type of paradigm. Like, is there a way that we can change how cloud development is done? Because if you think about it right now, when you write infrastructure as code, and that doesn't matter if it's Pulumi or it's, SAM or CloudFormation or CDK or serverless framework, you are essentially writing control plane specific instructions for the cloud provider, right? So you're saying, I need a Lambda function. I want this much memory. Here's how long I want it to, the timeout to be, and so forth. Where it used to be, again, and when things were a little bit simpler, we would just upload code to a server and it would all run monolithically and everything would be fine. So once we started splitting these things up into all these little amazing services, like whether it's SQS or S3 or EventBridge or step functions or any of those things, we started creating this massive amount of complexity, because you now have to start thinking about multi-service applications as opposed to just sort of a single execution model. And so the goal here is to say, can we completely just go back to the way it used to be or how it used to feel but still take advantage of this amazing technology. So it's an interesting thing. There are a bunch of companies and startups that are working on this. So we talk about all of them in this talk, and we kind of go through, why there was infrastructure as code, what it's good for, also what are its limitations, and then sort of the frustrations and things like that, and just kind of go through that history and then talk about the future and what would be possible with sort of this new paradigm. So it's a really interesting talk. I think the waitlist was booked as well, but I'm hoping that I know it will be recorded. So if you do miss it, you should be able to watch it later. But I'm excited about it because it is a very, very cool. It is very, very cool concept.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to it. And so I think I'm not typing an answer, but I'd like to ask because Jeremy already mentioned, most talks are full, like there are usually no seats available anymore. So when sessions are sold out, do you just go and wait in the line? What do you do? Like, what are your suggestions?
First of all, you don't need to be in the session. So if you really want to socialize, if you really want to, talk with the speaker, that yes, then you would want to be there. So, but if you you can always watch them online. Actually, this gives a better experience, in my opinion, to understand the grasp of the talks. But but if you really want to be in the session, you can just walk in. That most of the time, usually 90% of the time, you can walk in if you wait there. I never did this. I actually didn't recommend this, but yeah, you can do this.
I actually waited in the line once and I was able to get in. So it's often works because there's always people missing sessions. And if you really want to get in, you can get in the line. But I would suggest be there at least 20 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes before get in the line, because lines are just too long often. And I'm not sure about chalk talks or other types of talks or workshops. I know workshops has also lines, but there are new types of sessions nowadays. So anyone wants to share experience on that, like chalk talks or peer talks, whatever, the talks?
Yeah, my guess is it's going to be easier to get into breakout sessions just because they have so many more seats compared to the other ones. I guess I haven't been to a chalk talk. How big are those? Are they?
They're not very big. They're I think they're usually between 50, maybe 50 people or something like that. I went to a couple. I saw Adrian Hornsby give a talk a couple of years ago at a chalk talk, and the chalk talks, if you can go to a chalk talk, it's super exciting because it's a small group of people, and the way and the different session types have different meetings, right? So a breakout session is essentially it's a 45-minute talk with about 15 minutes of Q&A, but they're usually big rooms, so you usually have to get up and go to a microphone, or somebody brings you a microphone and you ask the questions. When you're in a chalk talk, it's a small environment. I think they're an hour as well, but it's a 30-minute presentation, but mixed in with audience questions as it's happening. So depending on who's running the session, I know the one I went with Adrian was he was stopping and people were asking questions, and it was almost on the fly. So there was some some interesting slides that he had to talk about a few concepts, but then it was very much so audience interaction that that could do that. But the crazy thing about reInvent in terms of the sessions, some sessions are harder to get than Taylor Swift tickets. So it's this really it's really, really frustrating. Sometimes when you want, and you get on the wait list or whatever, if you really, really want to go and see one of these sessions, let's say you want to meet your hero, Alex Debris, right? Then you go and you get a tent, you camp outside of the event. No, you just go get to his talk, or get to the talk you want to go to, maybe I don't know, at least a half an hour early. Sometime maybe a little bit earlier than that. Sometimes what they do is, because there'll be another session in there before, sometimes they don't, I think they don't let you queue until a certain amount of time. So you just might need to be in that area. But then once you start queuing, just get there earlier. If you're not on the wait list, right? Because again, I think they cancel the wait list. The wait list goes away once reInvent starts, right? So if you're on the wait list now and nobody cancels before reInvent and you don't get a reserved session, then the wait list is gone. So it's not like people can go up and say, well, I'm on the wait list. You have to actually be in line. So you get in line. If you are like, especially in a session like Alex's, because you probably have your breakout session too. So I think there's 300 to 500 seats or something like that, whatever it is. If you're like the first, I don't know, I would say 50 to 100 people in line, there's a good chance you're going to get into that thing. So if you show up and the line is insanely long, it's up to you whether or not you want to wait. But I found I ended up waiting for a few sessions my first year that I went. And I remember I was like maybe like 20, 30th in line, something like that. And I ended up getting in. So, but it is a little bit frustrating when they start letting people in and you're like, oh, come on, just a few more. But yeah, if you really want to see a session in person, and it is nice to see them in person, I will say, if you are going, don't make the mistake of going to no sessions. Definitely go to a couple. But even if you did like one a day or two a day, the rest of them are all available or should all be available on demand eventually, or streaming. And it's actually better because you can stop them, you can pause them, you can take notes, you can stop while your dog's barking in the background if you guys can hear that. But yeah, so that's the best thing to do. The other thing I would say too, just about whether or not you want to be someplace in person, let's talk about keynotes for a second. So if you are going to see any keynote, the only keynote that I would say you have to go to would be Werner Vogel's keynote, right? That is the one that they usually do most of the announcements and so forth. If you want to go see Swami's or you want to go see Adam Selipsky's, you can certainly do that. And I think those are less attended. The Werner Vogel's one is, it's a trip waiting in that line. So all of us are lucky enough, because we're serverless heroes, that we get like sort of a fast pass that we can get in, and we've got some reserved seats in there. The first 2 years that I went, the first year I went, I wasn't a service hero, and I waited, 2 years I wasn't, and I waited in line, and the line is, imagine a full-on hallway, like an airport terminal, like that wide, just packed with people. Like it is insane how many people wait for that. So here's what I would suggest. If you really want to go see Werner's keynote, and you're staying in the Venetian or the Palazzo, or what is it, the Palazzo, the Palazzo, whatever it is, the other one there. Yeah. If you're staying in one of those hotels and you're relatively close, and you want to get there early and wait in line, do that. If you're staying in the MGM Grand or at the Mandalay Bay or any of these other things, just stream it live, because unless you want to get there insanely early, and it's just a long trip to get there, it is something to see in person. But the other thing is that, again, it's this giant convention hall, and he's up on this big stage, but essentially he's usually in the center of the stage, and you could be way, way back in the right corner or way, way back in the left corner, and you're so far away. Of course, you can hear just fine and whatever, and it is sort of fun to be there. But yeah, if you're interested in the information and not so much about the experience, then just stream it, because it's a little bit easier.
But the experience is amazing. I mean, it's like
the experience is amazing, right? If you want to do it, do it. I'm not saying I'm not saying don't do it. But if you wake up that morning and you're like, ooh, do I really want to go and wait in that line? If you've never been, like if you've already been, you're like, oh, I know the line. I'm fine. I can throw elbows if I need to or whatever. Then like, yeah, then go. But if you've never been, you probably should go. But don't feel bad if you miss it. Just stream it.
For sure. And that answers half of the question Brian asked. So the keynotes, like how does one get into those? The other one is replay. Like anyone wants to take the replay question?
I think replay is easier, I guess. Like there will be shuttles to the space. Like the replay happens in some kind of an outer part of the Vegas, like nothing around the expo. And
there's no limit. There's no limit on replay. It's not like it's a limited number. They stop letting people in. Everybody can go to replay, because not everybody does.
Yeah, and sure. It's very fun, by the way. Like it's like there are several stages of bands playing, and there are some like games happening. There are like lots of things happening simultaneously. You just like feel like missing something always. But like, I recommend replay. I missed it last year because I felt like sick and I just wanted to stay in the hotel, and I regretted it very much. So I promised myself not missing it this year.
Okay, we are going there this year. So
Yeah, the other thing about I'm sorry, about replay is it's great to have people you know with you, right? Like you don't want, like, don't go by yourself. Like because I there's a bunch of people that I've met at reInvent that I'm like, oh, you know, who you here with? They're like, oh, I'm just me, you know, whatever, and like not knowing anybody, and so like it's just so much better to be with, you know, and look at, if you really want to go to reInvent and you don't, and you're there by yourself and you don't want to be alone, make some friends. Like that's the, you know, that's one of the crazy things about reInvent is you'll probably meet a bunch of people, you know, that you'll connect with, especially that's why sessions are potentially good. Like that's why you might want to go to some sessions, is because then you can find your tribe, like the people who are working on ML with SageMaker or doing something crazy, whatever. Like you'll find those people by going to certain sessions. But again, like if you're just kind of walking around and talking to random people, like, you know, if you want to find serverless people, for example, just wandering around, you know, the expo floor, probably you'll find a few serverless companies and so forth, but you won't really connect with those people. But if you are really into data and you want to, you know, go to Alex's session, he'll have a whole bunch of people there that are over the top or over the moon about DynamoDB and that kind of stuff. And that's a really good way to help find find people like that. But just start conversations, talk to people like, what are you doing with DynamoDB? Or what are you doing with serverless or whatever? And that's just a good way to kind of spark that. And then when you go to reInvent, hopefully you bump into some people that you know, and and then as long as you stay away from the EDM music that's playing all the time, then you should be fine.
How can you get away from it though?
Earplugs, just get the earplugs in.
Yeah. But I would echo that, like, just talk to people. Like I'm pretty shy by nature, but like everyone, a lot of us are tech people that are kind of shy, introverted or whatever, but like we all want to connect. We're in like hanging out and talking about interesting stuff. So talk to people in the sessions. Also, like they're going to have lunch or breakfast and lunch every day, like in a place. So it'll be included, and it's a good way to just like sit at a table and meet some people. And you're not going to be sort of grouped by interest like you would be at a session. But I found like just sitting at those tables and talking with people, and you get to find out all kinds of use cases that you're not even used to or thinking about. And it's just like a natural way to meet some people. So whatever you're doing, try and reach out and meet a few folks while you're there.
Any tips on that? Like someone asked.
Man, I would just say like, do it, like realize that the shyness in your brain is like total nonsense, right? There's 65,000 people there. And if you go up to someone and make a fool of yourself, you're never going to see them again. Like who cares, right? Like, but you might make like a great friend and things like that. So like, just, I know it's really hard, but I think just sort of bite the bullet and just like go up to people and talk to them and see what they're interested in. And you might click, you might not, but like, yeah, do it. Also use Twitter to connect with people. If you have some people, you can use that as a way to meet up if Twitter's still around in 2 weeks.
So folks, I think like we are going to talk about like 20 more minutes. So obviously we can always talk about the sessions, like your favorite session, whatever it is. But I mean, there are a lot of ways for folks to explore sessions, including like hero guides and stuff. So I want to go back a bit and just, ask shortly, when you land into Vegas, like what do you do? Like that's usually like blind spot. I mean, if you are going there for the first time, you don't know what to do. It can get I mean, I don't know, like it can get frustrating. Like so shortly, can someone explain like what do you do first?
Yeah. So avoid all the slot machines in the airport. That's the first step that you do. No. So when you land at the airport, I think if you come in on Saturday or anytime before that, there's no registration at the airport. I think if you come in Sunday or anytime during the week, when you get there, there's actually like a booth that you can actually register, or you can check in to reInvent right at the airport. But usually the easiest thing to do is just grab an Uber and take it back to your hotel, get settled in, and do that, and then sort of orient yourself, whatever. And then if you want to check in, I don't know if there's shuttles. I don't think there were shuttles.
No, I don't think so.
No. So you get to your hotel, and then the best thing to do is get there at least a day early, right? So get there on Sunday if you can. Registration is open on Sundays or on Sunday at the Venetian. It might be. I never went and registered at another hotel, so I don't know if there's registrations at other hotels. I think you have to go to the Venetian to do it. But you go in there. You wait in line, they take your photo. If you didn't submit one, they give you your badge, and then you go over to the swag. There's a big swag desk thing. You wait in line there, and then they'll give you, a t-shirt or a hoodie and sometimes a water bottle, whatever the swag is that AWS provides. So you get that, and they scan your badge and the whole deal. And then that's it. You're kind of on your own. The expo doesn't open until Monday. I think the expo opens Monday, right?
Yeah. It's Monday,
And then
I suppose, yeah.
it's like Monday through Thursday. I think it closes like Thursday at 4 maybe or something like that. So, and I would definitely say, you want to make sure that in between sessions, if you can get to the Venetian and be at the Venetian for something, you do want to at least wander around that expo hall one day and get some of that swag. And it's also actually really interesting too. Like so here's one of the things, like if you go to any smaller conference, and you've got companies like, especially larger companies, they'll send a representative. There's usually like a biz dev person there and whatever, and they'll talk you up and they'll kind of chat with you about whatever their product is. If you're really interested in a product, like reInvent, most of these companies seem to send like their A squad. Like there's some really, really great, smart people that are like even engineers that are on the floor that are willing to talk to you about their product. Which is really great. I mean, like if you're into Datadog, I know that AJ Sunenberg will be at the Datadog booth. There's like a whole bunch of great people that you can go and meet in person and really have a good conversation with. And of course, they're willing to take the time to have that conversation. So if there are some companies or vendors that you use, definitely go and show up at their booths and see if you can connect with somebody that even on a higher technical level, not just a salesperson, because there's a bunch of those people that are there.
Yeah, and then just going a bit back. So one of the things I encountered last year, by the way, there are a lot of, the registration line is very fast, by the way, even though it looks long, it's just a couple of minutes wait. But when you go into your hotel, it takes a bit longer to wait in the line. So it would take, like for me last time, I think it took like 30 minutes for the hotel line. And one of the things, there are like smoking rooms, or like, I don't know what do they call them, but in hotels, some floors are just smoke free, some floors are not. So they try to sell by default they say you registered for the non-smoke floors in the hotel, and they try to sell like non-smoking ones. There was the last time, I stayed in this smoking floor. So when you get in the floor, it really smells bad, but in the rooms, it's not that bad. So it doesn't smell anything like in the room. So, but still, if you have some sort of sickness, if you get sick with the smoke, you may want to choose to pay for the fee and stay in the non-smoking floor. So that was the first time I encountered something like this. So I wanted to mention that. Do we need COVID vaccination card? No, not this year. Yeah, and someone asked, there is, I think, another small expo hall. I couldn't remember which hotel it was. Anyone remembers?
I don't know.
It wasn't.
No, they did. The
Oh, yeah.
Aria had one, but the Aria is not part of it this year, I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So in the
maybe.
past, there was a small thing at the Aria, but I don't think that did well. I think they went over to that's why they're using the Caesars Forum now, because there are a couple of things in the Caesars Forum, or there were last year, I don't know, that were related more to AWS type booths. They weren't vendor booths, but there was just different areas. So I don't know if they're doing that again this year, or exactly how they're doing
Is that
it.
where that serverless area was, with the
or they had the
okay.
dance revolution machine or whatever. Somebody mentioned that Lyft or Uber are your friends. So the only thing I'll say about Lyfts or Ubers is, if you are taking Lyfts or Ubers, just make sure you get have a couple other people with you, because there's a lot of them, but there's 65,000 people just for AWS reInvent. And I guarantee you there's 10 other conferences going on at the same time at other hotels, not to mention I don't know, however many million people are there, just to be in Vegas, right? So people are there for very different reasons. And so there is a lot of demand for those things. So it's certainly, if you're going somewhere else, definitely, definitely try to do, ride shares, I guess, is that the right way to say it? But yeah, so the other thing is that shuttles, if you are just going between hotels or whatever, for sessions, the shuttles are fine. Again, you have to go kind of wait and find where they are. But they do run regularly. They do get you where you need to go. A lot of people have mentioned the monorail in the past. So I actually stayed at the MGM Grand my first year. I tried walking from the MGM Grand to the Venetian because you can see it. You look down the strip and you're like, hey, it's right there, right? It was like a 30-minute walk to get there. And that was like with nobody on the street either. It was like on a Sunday morning. It is a long way away. If you are near the MGM Grand and you don't want to take a bus, or you don't want to take an Uber and you don't want to walk, the monorail is actually pretty good. I mean, it takes you all the way down behind, I think it's behind Harrah's, and you can get out behind Harrah's and then walk through the parking lot, and it dumps you right out on the back entrance of or the side entrance of the Venetian. So it's not too bad to do that. Somebody mentioned that it might be free this year. That would be awesome. But yeah, I mean, even so, you could pay like, I think it was like $20 for like a week pass or something like that. It wasn't super expensive, but it is actually very convenient if you are staying up, that side of the strip.
Yep. So what about the foods? Like someone asked about the lunch, what to expect. So what are your recommendations?
Lunch is fine.
Yeah,
It's all fine. Yeah.
yeah, it's not great. It's not bad. It's just fine. Like there are several options. Desserts and salads and vegan thing, meat and like sometimes like even like the snacks. It's fine, but don't expect great.
Yeah, big thing for me is like make sure you're eating right, because it's gonna be busy all the time, and I don't know, I just can't eat like greasy food all the time and still function well. So I don't know, yourself, but make sure you're eating some greens once in a while, some vegetables, right, and not fried ones. So
and the other.
Yeah,
I was just gonna say the other thing is that look, the lunch for Amazon is usually like a bag of chips and some, sometimes there's a sandwich, there's like an apple, whatever, like, and then they have like just these bins of soda, and there's always like coffee and tea and all that stuff seems to be available. Usually like Coke or Sprite and whatever are available. But here's what I will say. If you take advantage of the AWS lunches, just go and grab one, and make sure that I think you can get I think there's a bunch of to-go ones as well. Yeah. You can just grab and go as opposed to having to sit there or whatever, but get it, even if you're just going to take the apple or whatever, a couple of bites of the sandwiches and a free drink. Because if you go anywhere, like if you go to lunch and get a hamburger with or a cheeseburger with French fries and a drink, be prepared to pay like $50 to $70 USD. Like it is not cheap. Like Vegas is insanely expensive. So again, anything that is included with your conference pass that you've already paid for, just try to take advantage of that as much as you can. And are they doing breakfast this year? I don't remember. No breakfast?
No,
there is breakfast.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that's another good thing too. It's like, again, if you just go, there's this one little place in the Venetian, over by the Venetian Theater. It's like a little coffee shop, I think, up at the top of the escalators, whatever they are. And that is basically like, you get a bagel or, you get like a bagel and a coffee, and it's like $14, $15 or something like that. So, USD. So it is pretty expensive. So yeah, somebody said they have really good breakfasts. So, or really that's good. They have breakfast. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry. I read that wrong.
The breakfast is also nice. Like they have eggs and pastries and coffee and everything. So, by the way, like even like when you go to the lunch place, it takes a while to sit. Like you walk and walk, like even in the lunch place, like you may want to grab something and just eat elsewhere, but obviously the lunch will be different. So if you want to spend some money on a restaurant, like which one would it be? Like what is your favorite restaurant?
Favorite restaurant? Ooh.
Yes. Immense.
Normally, like all the restaurants are taken by some kind of a party or something. Like you can't just go in and sit someplace. There's always something going on. But if you arrive early, if you leave late, my favorite one is actually Artbird, and I liked it very much. And like for coffee, I know like someone wrote like Starbucks has like insane long lines. I agree. That's why I prefer to take a seat in Ely. It's it's not that crowded. Still, like the coffee is really nice. So Yardbird for food, Ely for coffee for me.
I mean, for me, like Yardbird, but chicken and waffles. Like that's the only thing that like I pay for in Vegas usually for food. Like I mean, that was amazing. Like watermelon, chicken, waffles. I mean, it's just amazing. I'm looking forward to it.
By the way, I just looked it up. So there is breakfast Tuesday through Friday mornings. There's breakfast. There's no breakfast on Monday.
Yeah, and Monday is like for, I guess, like officially at least.
Yeah, Monday is the official start. So lunch starts. There is lunch on Monday, but no breakfast.
There's lunch on Monday. Okay, cool.
Yeah, lunch, but no. Yeah, right.
Okay.
Restaurant wise though, it's so hard. Anywhere you go is going to be great. There's a couple of things that you can definitely do. Like if you want to go to other, it depends on where you are. Like there's an amazing steakhouse in, I think it's the Aria, Ruth Chris's steakhouse is Harrah's, I think. There's, any restaurant you can possibly think of is available. So do that. Speaking of food, though, one thing that is super helpful to do, if you go to the vending machine to grab like a water or a Coke or something like that at the bottom of the elevators in the Venetian or whatever, you pay like $3-4 for a bottle of soda or something crazy like that. If you get it from your mini fridge, insane how expensive it is. Along the strip, there are CVS's and Walgreens. Go in there, get a couple of big bottles of water. It's like, $3.49 for like a liter or 2 liter or whatever. They're huge, bottles of water. Get those and then bring them back to your room so that you have them, right? Maybe even grab a box of granola bars or something like that if you're not going to bring them with you. But don't pay for the mini bar and vending machines and things like that. It's just crazy expensive.
Yeah. Big food thing for me is I love to go to Shake Shack because we don't have one in Nebraska, and I love Shake Shack, so I try to hit that in Vegas every time.
No, as well.
Yeah. So even though I told you to eat some vegetables, you can spoil it in Shake Shack.
So every time I go to California, you got to go to is it Jack in the Box or whatever? You got to go to one. You got to go to one of those. Even though it's not that great, but you're like, but I'm here. I got to do it.
So let's get a bit more serious. Like, what do you do to get the most out of reInvent? Like, what are your overall suggestions?
I like to talk with people. I got a very few sessions. You probably shouldn't emulate me, but I went to, I think, probably 1 or 2 sessions last year and 1 or 2 sessions in 2019 or whatever. So I like to talk to people. There are some really good sessions though. When I'm looking at sessions, I mostly look at the speaker, I would say, and get some really good ones. Like, man, David Janacek, I think he is one of my favorite ones. He's always like making cool drawings and teaching you interesting like monitoring and observability stuff. So he's got a couple talks this year. Bridget Johnson, IAM stuff. All the under the hood talks I think are really interesting. It depends on your level. Like if you're pretty new to AWS, maybe those won't be as helpful to you. But if you have a pretty good feel on AWS, those are some really smart people with great talks. So I would check those out and get the chance to maybe talk to them after as well.
Yeah, I'd also say too, in terms of not just looking at the speaker, but look at the session level. If you are going to, unless you're like brand new and you know nothing about a particular thing and you want to learn about some new service, whatever, a 100 or 200 level talk, or I guess they don't do 100s, right? So a 200 level talk or whatever is just an introductory talk, right? So it's non-technical usually. They just kind of talk about use cases and things like that. Once you get into the 300 or the 400 level sessions, it starts to get much more technical and detailed and really, really interesting. So if you're going there and you want to like really deep dive, then do that. And then again, depending on who the speaker is, these speakers usually have 1 talk per day, if that, and sometimes you just have 1 talk for the whole reInvent. There's so many people. So the chances are, if you really have deep technical questions that you want to ask, find that speaker you want, find the right level of the course or a session, and then just wait and go talk to them afterwards. And you could probably not only make a friend, but get all your questions answered as well.
So on my side, like I attended a workshop once, like I think 4 years ago, 3 years ago. It was really great. I mean, there are a lot of people just waiting there to help you and answer your questions. So it's really productive usually. So if you really want to get a like hands-on experience on a specific service, I mean, definitely check out workshops. And they're usually, I mean, you can usually get in even if you don't, you are not, I mean, in the session list. So, I mean, definitely like if you are looking to learn about something, the Rainment is going to be the place. So check that out as well.
One last thing I would say there in the expo hall, there's all the sponsors and stuff, but there's also like the Heroes Lounge. So like we'll be all there at different times and a lot of other heroes. Also, if you go to, I can't remember what they call it, but there's like the different booths for the different AWS services, and they often have folks that work on those services or DAs for those services there. Like I'm pretty sure Amrith, who's the senior principal that I'm doing a talk with on DynamoDB, he's like a senior principal. I think there are 2 on DynamoDB. He's going to be there doing booth talk or like booth duty during part of it. So like you can talk to some really great people there and get some like in-depth conversations with people that are really deep in the weeds there if you want to.
Yeah. All right, so let me check my questions. Like, is there anything? By the way, you can always use the Q&A section or chat if you have any questions. So I want to ask about the parties. Like, obviously, when the sessions are over, the day is not over. So I can get started. Like, I obviously just check out the raymanparties.com. conferenceparties.com. So it's going to be a big list, like it's going to be, everything is going to be there. So that's my suggestion, short suggestion. Anyone wants to go deeper, share insights?
I mean, like, if you check the event parties and if you register some of them, and I think it's a good place to, spend the night and, making new friends. And, again, you can join them with your tribe, or you can just, go alone. And, but I don't recommend going alone, because if you feel, as a shy person, I am feeling kind of outside of everyone in some places. So in every restaurant, possibly there is something going on, like the brands are, like the vendors are throwing parties there. And like my favorite one last year was from MongoDB, and yeah, like it's always happening with some other brands, but yeah, we'll see what happens this year.
Anyone wants to add something on the parties?
I mean, the parties are, it depends. Like I've been to a lot of different parties. Like sometimes you'll get you'll get an invite, you'll go to a party for like a vendor, but like that vendor party is actually, might be sponsored by like a VC who's doing multiple parties or something like that. So it all depends on who the crowd, who the crowd is, and what you want to get out of the parties. If you just want to go and grab some free food or something like that, then, choose your parties wisely. If you want to go and just, really meet some interesting people, it's probably good to do a little bit more research, before that, because again, you don't want to just go, because they're not, some of them are in the Venetian and like close, other ones are like far away, right? So I don't know if they're doing one at Top Golf this year, which is all the way up by the MGM Grand. Like there's a bunch of those different ones. So if you make that trip and you go all the way out there, like it's fun and you can do some things, whatever, but like you kind of, if you want to go to another party that night, it might be a little bit hard to go to multiple parties. So, yeah, it depends on what you want to get out of them. If it's just free food and fun and whatever, then pick the parties that are the bigger ones that are about that. And there's a bunch of smaller, more intimate parties as well that you can go to, that are maybe more tailored depending on what you're trying to get out of them.
Mm-hmm. All right. So last question. I know it's about to be an hour. So if you recommend one thing to anyone coming to Vegas, what would it be? It doesn't have to be related to just raiment. So let's just end with this question.
Yeah, I think it's Com 301 on Monday is what I'm going to, right?
Which one? Sorry,
Com 301. That's Jeremy's talk.
No. What about yours?
No.
But he's definitely going to be at his talk, so he's not going to miss his talk.
I'm in real trouble. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if I have any good advice. I would like, for me, it's way more about the people that are going to be there than any one particular thing. So, don't miss an opportunity to hang out with some people, find some people that have similar interests and get a chance to connect that way.
Yeah, I would say this. There's nothing that you can learn at reInvent that you can't learn outside of reInvent, right? So I mean, in terms of the sessions and other things, like, so you can do that outside of reInvent. So if you're coming to reInvent, really use that as that opportunity to meet some people, that are doing some interesting things around, hopefully around the tools and the services at AWS that you're using, because that can be a really great opportunity, just to get different perspectives and so forth. Especially if you're like, I know a lot of companies will send like 1 or 2 engineers, even though they might have hundreds of engineers that work for them, whatever, and they're just trying to, get their feet wet with AWS or whatever. So it's always good to make a couple of connections, try to reach out, like, even if you talk to some of the speakers, like most of the speakers that are official AWS speakers, they can connect you with PMs, with the product managers for the different services that you might be interested in. Just making that connection is super great, especially if your team is like, your team might be all in on some product at AWS. Or thinking about it, and then you make that connection with that PM, and then you've got that direct line of communication, and they're all great, great about doing that stuff. So, so more generally, just coming to AWS, like, again, it's a what's the right way to say it? It's its own Vegas in a sense. Like, there's just so much going on in AWS, right? And there's so many different tribes in there. There's so many different things to think about and figure out. So, I mean, if you're new to AWS, you got to try to pick a few services that you're interested in, and kind of go down the path of learning those. Don't think you have to learn everything at AWS. You don't need to know anything about Macy or Connect or, I don't know, IoT. Like, there's a bunch of services you don't need to know anything about. Just pick the few that you think make the most sense for what you're doing, and learn those and learn how to integrate those. But there's a lot of resources out there too for like getting started with AWS as well.
Emre, would you like to?
Yeah, I would say, I like reInvent is learning about learning, but like you can always, as Jeremy says, like learn some like in other ways that I appreciate, like, I give more value to networking, meeting with new people, meeting with your old friends. So like, try to meet with more people, try to exchange more ideas in a more socialized manner, enjoy it. So yeah.
So on Vegas, like, I went to 2 Vegas shows, so that's also something I could recommend. Like, if you're in Vegas, so I really like Ka from Cirque du Soleil. So I mean, there are always shows, so I would recommend you go to one, like, if you have some time. They are a bit expensive, I think, but still, I mean, it's worth it. It's the only place you can see shows like this, I guess. So definitely,
Yeah, the Beatles Love was awesome. I saw that a couple of years ago. Very cool.
Okay, I can go to that one this year. So a nice suggestion. So I'm gonna go to Grand Canyon. So I can get some tips afterwards. So this is gonna be my first time. We are going with Emre. So we rented a car. We'll see how it goes.
That'll be fun.
It's a long ride, long drive. It's like 4
I mean,
hours to drive.
We are 4 people, so we'll see. Like, I mean, it shouldn't be a problem, but
You like drive? I like
Mustafa and I will drive.
Yeah. So it also, like, I've heard a lot of people like, oh, we drove all the way out to Vegas, or we drove from Vegas to the Grand Canyon, and we got out of the car. We looked, we're like, all right, that's the Grand Canyon. And then we got back in and drove back. So I've never been to the Grand Canyon either. I do want to get there someday, but I will tell you, when I was in England one time, we took an excursion to see Stonehenge. And we're like, oh, Stonehenge is going to be so cool, right? We get to Stonehenge, you walk around it once, you're back in the gift shop, and you're like, okay, I'm glad I saw it, but I probably never need to go there again. So I would think, so if you are going to make that trip out to the Grand Canyon, again, I haven't been there, so maybe it is absolutely worth it to whatever. But my understanding is, if you're going to go to the Grand Canyon, it's great to do like the hikes and some of these other things that you would do and be and be a little bit more involved there, because you can't really spend a ton of time there unless you want to, be driving back super late at night or whatever. But yeah, I mean, that's awesome that you guys are going. I'm hoping on Friday, to cut out of the strip proper and get around somewhere and go check. I don't know, maybe we'll go to the Hoover Dam. That's only a half an hour away. So although it's probably just as exciting as the Grand Canyon. So who knows? But yeah, but if you can get out, that is one thing I will say. If you can get outside of Vegas proper, outside of the strip, do that. I think, if you've ever been to Old Vegas, or if you've never been to Old Vegas, like that's always sort of interesting to go and check that out. There's some sort of really sketchy bars and stuff down there, but it's kind of an experience to go to Old Vegas. And if you can rent a car and just drive somewhere else, like, yeah, I mean, just get out and that would be that's always whatever. But if it's your first time and you just like, look, I want to stay focused on this, I want to learn about everything we're talking about here, like taking trips and this other stuff, that's a lot of like advanced reinventing probably. If it's your first time and you just want to stay connected and do the best you can, go to as many sessions as you feel comfortable with, and go to some of those parties. Definitely network, take advantage of everything that's included in the AWS registration, yeah.
Awesome. Anyone wants to add something, or
See you at Vegas. See you in Vegas.
see everybody in Vegas?
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks,
folks.
everyone. Bye.
See y'all.